It was supposed to be one of those sweet, unforgettable sports moments. A victorious tennis player giving his hat to a young fan in the stands. A simple gesture. A memory made. But what happened next stunned millions. And lit the internet. On fire. Because just as Kamil Majchrzak reached out to hand his cap to a child named Brock, one man stepped in and snatched it away. Not just any man. A grown, wealthy CEO who grabbed the gift meant for a boy and walked off like it was his dot. The crowd gasped. The child's face fell. And within minutes, that clip was everywhere. Slowed down, replayed, captioned, mocked. The man was soon identified. And what unfolded? Over the next 48 hours? Wasn't just backlash. It was a full-on internet investigation that exposed a businessman's reputation, challenged his apology, and raised one massive question. Was it really a misunderstanding? Or a disturbing glimpse of entitlement caught in 4K? Stay tuned, because what happened after the hat was taken might shock you even more than the moment itself. It happened in a flash, but the world saw every detail. Kamil Majchrzak had just secured a hard-fought victory at the U.S. Open. The crowd was cheering, the cameras were rolling, and emotions were running high. As he made his way toward the sideline, he spotted a young boy in the stands. Brock, wide-eyed, hopeful, leaning forward with his arms stretched out. Kamil took off his cap, walked over, and without saying a word, extended it toward the child. It was the kind of moment every young sports fan dreams about, being noticed by their hero, receiving a personal gift after a big win. Brock's eyes lit up. The people around him leaned in. It was perfect, until a WASN single quotes T. Because just as the cap reached the edge of the railing, a man leaned in from the side. With one swift motion, he grabbed the hat, snatching it right out of the air before it ever touched the boy's fingers. The crowd hesitated, unsure of what just happened. But Brock's reaction made everything clear. He froze, then looked at the man in confusion. He even seemed to say something softly, but firmly, "No, what are you doing?" But it was too late. The man clutched the hat, smiled, and turned away. The moment was over, and it wasn't just Brock who felt robbed. You could see it in the faces nearby: shock, discomfort, disbelief. The joy had been sucked right out of the moment. The moment the clip hit the internet, it took on a life of its own. TikTok, X, Reddit, Instagram Reels. Every platform had it, and everyone had an opinion. It was the kind of video that didn't need context. You didn't need to know the match, the player, or the kid's name. You just saw a grown man steal a moment and a memory from a child. And the internet? It doesn't forget. At first, people were just outraged. But then came the deeper question: who was he? Who was this mystery man who felt so entitled that he'd reach over a child to grab a souvenir meant for someone else? It didn't take long to find out. Within hours, digital sleuths had pieced it together. A man in the video was identified as Piotr Szczerek, a wealthy CEO from Poland who heads a paving and construction company called Drogbrook. One reverse image search, a few LinkedIn connections, and boom, his identity was everywhere. Suddenly, the story wasn't just about a tennis match. It was about a powerful businessman who had been caught doing something petty, selfish, and wildly inappropriate on live television, no less. And once his name was attached to the clip, that's when the backlash truly exploded. His photo was plastered across meme pages. Headlines didn't say, "Man steals hat." They said, "CEO steals from child." People flooded the internet with comments, tagging his business accounts, leaving reviews, and mocking his every move. Even Drogbrook's search results were hijacked, now filled with sarcastic edits, clown emojis, and calls for boycotts. What should have been a private embarrassment had morphed into a full-blown digital reckoning. And Pod Szczerek? He went from anonymous to infamous in less than a day. But that wasn't the whole story. Because as the rage boiled online, the tennis player himself, Kamil Majchrzak, was quietly planning something that would change the direction of the narrative. At least for one person. While the internet torched Pod Szczerek's name and mocked his every move, the man who had started it all, Kamil Majchrzak, was watching too. And he wasn't silent. Instead of staying out of the drama or issuing a vague statement, Kamil did something rare in the age of celebrity detachment. He got involved, not to defend himself, not to save face, but to make things right for the kid. He took to social media and issued a public call. If anyone knows the boy who was supposed to get my cap, help me find him. And the internet, for all its chaos, listened. Fans began tagging accounts, circulating screenshots, and within hours they found him. The boy's name was Brock. And yes, he had seen the video. Yes, he had been devastated. But now, he was about to get a second chance. Kamil invited Brock and his family back for a private meetup. No cameras, no chaos, no crowd fighting over souvenirs. Just a tennis star, a young fan, and a moment that was finally allowed to be pure. This time, there was no interference. Kamil greeted the boy with a hug, gave him a signed racket, extra memorabilia, and even posed for pictures. Brock's smile said everything. What had started as a public humiliation was now something he'd remember for all the right reasons. And the internet? It loved it. Comments poured in praising Kamil for stepping up, for protecting a child's experience, and for modeling exactly how public figures should respond when chaos strikes. But while Brock got his justice, Pod Szczerek? He was still silent, and the longer he waited to explain himself, the more brutal the public reaction became. But soon he would speak, and what he said only made things worse. When the pressure became unbearable, when memes mocked his every move, when angry comments flooded every corner of his digital footprint, Pod Szczerek finally broke his silence. Days after the incident, the Drogbrook CEO posted a formal statement on his company's website. No press conference. Number. Video. Just a block of text meant to explain, to clarify, and maybe even to save what was left of his reputation. But instead of calming the storm, it lit a new fire. In his statement, Szczerek claimed he thought the hat was being handed to him, not to Brock. He said his sons had asked for autographs earlier in the day. And in the chaos of the moment, he genuinely believed Kamil was reaching toward them. He called it an innocent misunderstanding. He apologized to Brock, to the family, to Kamil Majchrzak, and even to the fans who had watched the video in disbelief. So, on paper, it checked all the right boxes. Apology issued, misunderstanding acknowledged, empathy expressed. But it wasn't the words themselves that stirred controversy. It was how he said them, because buried in the statement was a confusing line. He described Brock as injured. That raised eyebrows. Was he talking about emotional hurt? Was this a mistranslation from Polish? Or was he claiming something that didn't actually happen? To many, it felt tone deaf, like he was reaching for sympathy or softening the moment with vague phrasing. And then came the next red flag. Szczerek made a point to address the fake statements circulating online posts claiming he'd insulted the boy, that his wife had defended the behavior, or that he was threatening legal action against critics. According to him, none of that was real. He called it all fabrication, viral bait designed to keep the drama going. To protect his family. He even disabled comments on the post, and that ironically just made people more suspicious. Because in the world of public scandal, silence looks like guilt. And controlling the narrative often feels like hiding. What should have been a clean moment of accountability instead came across as controlled, cold, and calculated. The apology didn't feel like remorse. It felt like PR. And there was one massive problem he didn't address at all: the video, because no matter how many words he used, the footage told a different story. And when viewers put the two side by side, they didn't see confusion. They saw something else entirely. And what happened next would only deepen the fallout. Here's the thing about viral videos. Once they're out there, they become the truth. And for Piotr Szczerek, that truth was damning. His apology may have claimed confusion, a chaotic moment, a well-intentioned misunderstanding. But when people replayed the footage frame by frame, slowed down, zoomed in, none of it added up. Because this wasn't a gentle reach or an accidental grab. This was a man who leaned in, saw the hat being directed at the child, and took it anyway. Clean, deliberate, entitled. You could even hear Brock's small voice as he pulled back, saying, "No, what are you doing?" But Szczerek held on, ignored him, turned away like nothing had happened. That's not confusion. That's a choice. And no amount of polished statements or vague apologies could erase the visual evidence. Worse, the internet started dissecting the clip with surgical precision. Body language experts chimed in. Influencers reenacted the moment, and fans pointed out details that made the apology look even thinner. If it was truly for his sons, why didn't they reach for the hat? If it was meant for him, why did he have to snatch it out of a child's space? And if he really didn't hear the boy protest, why did he never look back? The gap between the story he told and the reality people saw became impossible to bridge. And when that happens, apologies feel like spin. People didn't see an innocent dad caught in the chaos of a big moment. They saw a powerful man acting like the rules didn't apply to him, and then trying to rewrite the moment once the backlash hit. What could have been a small embarrassment became a case study in how not to handle a PR crisis. Because when your excuse doesn't match the evidence, the public doesn't just doubt your words. They start questioning your character. And for Piotr Szczerek, things were about to get even messier. Because while his statement tried to quiet the storm, the internet was cooking up new rumors that would take things to a whole different level. The internet wasn't done. Not even close. Once the apology hit the web and failed to satisfy the public, the tone of the conversation shifted from disappointment to obsession. Because what started as a single clip became something much bigger. Suddenly, unverified rumors began to flood the comment sections. Screenshots popped up on Twitter and Reddit claiming that Piotr Szczerek had snapped at the boy, allegedly saying, "If you were faster, you would have had it." Others claimed his legal team was preparing to sue anyone posting defamatory content about him. Some even alleged that his wife had defended him online, calling the boy's family overdramatic. None of these claims were verified. No reputable outlet could confirm them. But it didn't matter. Because in the court of public opinion, narrative moves faster than fact. People began posting TikToks, reading the fake quotes like gospel. Threads formed entire timelines of events that never happened. And the man already branded a hat thief now carried a second, darker label: bully. That's the dangerous part of going viral. Once your name becomes a meme, the line between truth and fiction disappears. People stop asking what actually happened and start pushing what sounds believable. And when the original video paints you in a bad light, everything else becomes easier to believe. To his credit, Szczerek tried to shut it down. In his statement, he made it clear he never said those things. His wife never commented. His lawyers never threatened legal action. He called the quotes fake, the screenshots manipulated, the outrage artificially boosted by online clout chasers trying to keep the drama alive. And he might have been right. But by the time he said it, it didn't matter. The damage was already done. Misinformation doesn't wait for verification. Memes don't need a source. And the moment the internet picked its villain, Piotr Szczerek was doomed to play the role, whether he deserved it or not. But while rumors raged and hashtags spread, the real-world consequences were just beginning to hit. Because next, the scandal would reach his business. And no amount of denial could stop what was coming. While the internet turned Piotr Szczerek into a viral punchline, his company Drogbrook was quietly falling into chaos. This wasn't just a personal scandal anymore. Had become a corporate crisis. Search Drogbrook online, and instead of company milestones or client testimonials, users were met with Polish CEO steals hat from child, U.S. Open scandal goes global. Avoid this company at all costs. Google was no longer showing business results. It was showing headlines, memes, YouTube reaction videos, and comment threads calling for boycotts. His company's digital identity was hijacked, and there was no controlling it. This is what they call a Google bomb, when a surge of viral attention completely reshapes how a business appears online. And it was devastating. Potential clients now saw a thief, not a CEO. Community partners backed away. And any upcoming deals? Likely frozen. What's even more tragic, if you believe his version, is that Piotr Szczerek had actually spent years funding community initiatives, sponsoring local sports teams, and supporting youth programs across Poland. According to people close to the company, he was known for donating to schools and even helping underprivileged kids. But none of that mattered now, because to the public, one act erased everything. And it didn't help that Kamil Majchrzak, the tennis player, was being hailed as the hero of the moment. He had corrected the wrong. He had shown grace and humility. He was now the face of kindness and class. And Piotr, he was the face of greed, entitlement, and embarrassment. Every attempt at damage control seemed to backfire. Every silence felt like guilt. And every rumor, true or not, added to the flames. What had started as a brief, awkward moment in the crowd had now torched the reputation of an entire company. Because in the age of the internet, your brand isn't just what you build, it's what people remember. And for Drogbrook, the only thing people remembered was a snatched hat and a boy who walked away empty-handed. But even that wasn't the final blow, because what this scandal really exposed wasn't just one man's mistake. It exposed something much bigger, something every public figure, every brand, and every ordinary person should pay attention to. And in the next chapter, that truth comes into focus. By now, this story had outgrown the tennis match. It had outgrown the hat. It had even outgrown Piotr Szczerek, because what it really revealed was how fast the internet can take a moment, just seconds of footage, and turn it into a defining event in someone's life. In just a few days, one split-second decision rebranded a CEO as a global villain. His past good deeds forgotten. His reputation rewritten. His business derailed. Why? Because the cameras were rolling. And that's the part that left people thinking, if this had happened off camera, if the broadcast had cut away just seconds earlier, would Piotr Szczerek have faced any consequences at all? Would he have apologized? Would the child have gotten anything back? Or would the moment awkward, selfish, unfair have disappeared? Like so many others? That's the uncomfortable question. Because for every viral moment that explodes into public view, how many don't? How many acts of entitlement or cruelty go unchecked simply because they weren't captured? In this case, the footage didn't just hold someone accountable. It showed the world how easily power can overshadow innocence, how a child's joy can be taken, and the adults around him will either stand up or stay silent, and how the truth, when seen by millions, is hard to spin away, even when statements are posted, even when apologies are written, even when damage control kicks in. The video told its own story, and that story of a grown man snatching a hat meant for a child was burned into people's minds. In the end, Rock got his moment thanks to a compassionate athlete and an internet that refused to let the injustice slide. But Piotr Szczerek got something else. A viral lesson in how quickly one action can define you. How quickly the court of public opinion delivers judgment. And how no amount of money, power, or status can undo a bad decision made in front of millions. Because in the digital age, your legacy can change with a single grab, but the biggest question still lingers. Was it truly a misunderstanding? Or did the cameras just catch a glimpse of who he really was all along? And with that, let's talk about it. Was this blown? Out of proportion? Or did the internet finally get one right? Drop your thoughts in the comments. And as always, I'll see you in the next video.